Hello and welcome back to Bamboo Batu, where I love talking about all things related to bamboo. That's why I created Bamboo Batu, my website. Check it out, BAMBUBATU.com. Hundreds of free articles, lots of good info, fun stuff. If you're into bamboo, you'll find it fascinating, I'm sure. Today's topic is greenwashing. It's a hot topic in eco-friendly circles these days, and an important one to think about and consider. So we are considering the pros and cons of greenwashing, but just so you know, we're mostly talking about the cons because there aren't really that many pros. But stick with me and we'll get to it. So let's start by talking about what is greenwashing. You may have heard this phrase before, or maybe you haven't. So let's talk about it. Greenwashing is when you have misleading claims about sustainability and eco-friendliness to describe your products and services. So you see some of that nowadays. People will say different things that aren't necessarily accurate just to come across as being more green than they really are. That could come in the form of exaggeration or lying, which is something that we do not approve of. You have to be honest about your products. A lot of people, they're trying to go green, and so they will exaggerate or they will use labels like 100% natural, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. Um, and in other cases, they will just flat out lie and say that it's organic or something like that, even when it's not. Hopefully, that's not happening so much, but exaggeration is the most common thing. Maybe it's got some aspect of it that's eco-friendly, but then they really try to blow it up into a big deal when it's not such a big deal. These are forms of greenwashing. In other situations, it could be intentional. They could be misleading intentionally to improve their self-image, to improve their image as a sustainable, green-minded company, or oh gosh, there's a typo there, willful deceit or simple ignorance. That's supposed to say or simple ignorance. It could just be the case that they don't really understand the full environmental repercussions of what they're doing. And there's a lot of science and new information and facts and figures to understand when it comes to gauging the sustainability or eco-friendliness of a product. And so sometimes the person in the PR department might think it's a super cool thing, not knowing that there are actually far better ways to do it, far more ecological ways to produce a product. So it could be intentional, it could be accidental. Either way, it falls under the category of greenwashing if they are making something look more sustainable and eco-friendly than it actually is. So what about bamboo? Greenwashing with bamboo. Does this happen? Do people exaggerate or lie or misrepresent the properties of bamboo? Unfortunately, they do sometimes. It can happen. I think mostly it's a case of exaggeration and bit of misinformation. I don't think it's so much in the area of willful deceit and dishonesty, but it's hard to know sometimes. So greenwashing with bamboo, that could include saying things like it's stronger than steel, which is also sort of true in certain circumstances, certain directional measurements and applications and such. There are ways in which bamboo is stronger than steel, and that's pretty amazing. Bamboo is super duper strong. But to say it's stronger than steel in every different situation is a bit of an exaggeration, and it's a bit misleading. And you need to be careful if you're going to compare bamboo to steel. You need to be honest and accurate and really have a good grasp of all the numbers and the metrics that we're talking about. Another example is saying bamboo requires no fertilizer or pest control. It's 100% organic no matter what. Again, that's an exaggeration. Bamboo is very resilient to pests. It's not nearly as susceptible to pests and such as other crops, like cotton, for example, very susceptible to boll weevils. Other food crops are very sensitive, and they need to get sprayed with fungicides or pesticides or something, especially when they're grown in a monocrop method, where it's just rows and rows of the same crop again and again and again, those become very, very vulnerable to pests and fungus and other issues. And fertilizer, yeah, bamboo will grow without fertilizer. Will it thrive to its full potential? Not really. And if you're farming bamboo, most importantly, if you're farming bamboo as a commercial product, as a commodity, then you need to be looking at your competitive edge, and you need to have a pretty high level of productivity. You can't just have a plant that, like, just ekes by. Like, it doesn't need fertilizer, it survives. So we're growing bamboo, and at the end of the cycle, you harvest and you got some bamboo, but it's not not nearly as much bamboo as you would have if you had been fertilizing. It can be fertilized totally organically with manure and compost. Cow manure and chicken manure are great on bamboo. We're not saying that bamboo needs to get sprayed with heavy chemicals and Roundup and stuff like that. But if you're going to make claims about fertilizer and pesticide needs or lack thereof with bamboo farming, you just need to be accurate. And I know it's tempting. It's very tempting just to gloss over and say, hey, it's totally pesticide free no matter what. But usually it is. Usually it doesn't require pesticides, but sometimes you get an infestation of something. And realistically, you do need to fertilize it with something. And this is especially problematic when farmers or potential farmers are looking into bamboo and they read, oh, it doesn't require any additives. I just plant it and sit on my porch and drink a glass of lemonade and watch it grow. I don't have to do anything. And that's kind of setting people up for some disappointment. So green and sustainable, yes, it grows that way for sure. But if you want to get the maximum, yield per acre, you're going to need to give it a little something. Another thing people might say, bamboo can 100% replace forestry and petroleum. I threw in that 100% phrase in there just to make it even more exaggerated. Anytime you hear the phrase 100% or absolutely positively, no matter what, then you're probably dealing with a case of greenwashing. But yeah, bamboo, anything made out of wood can be made out of bamboo. That doesn't mean that if we grow bamboo, we can stop cutting down trees entirely next year. There will forever and always be a need for trees for different products and different times and places and situations. And our goal is not to create a world that is 100% dependent on bamboo. We believe in a mixed bag where the more sustainable resources like bamboo can be used more, but there will always be a place for hardwood trees and things like that. Obviously, we don't want to be plowing through pristine virgin rainforests in Malaysia and Brazil to make toilet paper or something like that. But there will. I don't think bamboo is going to bring an end to the point where we see the last tree getting cut down for commercial purposes. And bamboo will not entirely replace petroleum. There are many things that you can do with bamboo for producing energy, creating green plastic, plant-based, cellulose-based plastics, things like that, which are traditionally made from petroleum. But bamboo is not going to replace petroleum, unfortunately. It can play a large part in the campaign to reduce petroleum use, along with other alternatives to petroleum-based products. But bamboo alone is not going to substitute everything that was made from petroleum. Anyway, these are obviously gross exaggerations, but you hear people say things like this, and they get excited about bamboo. I've gotten excited about bamboo on more than one occasion. I must confess, I have been guilty from at one time or another of exaggerating claims about bamboo. But in recent years, I've tried to be more and more and more careful, because it doesn't help when people find out that you were lying or exaggerating or something like that. So you got to be careful. One last thing about greenwashing with bamboo we should mention is bamboo fabric. Bamboo fabric is a tricky one. Bamboo grows so much more easily than cotton. It's a very sustainable plant that requires very little in the way of pesticides and very little in the way of fertilizers. You'll notice I didn't say zero, but very little. And so, in many, many ways, it is a superior environmentally to cotton, and also to synthetic materials like nylon, polyester, which are made from they're petroleum based. But there is a processing stage of bamboo where they take the bamboo and they pulp it with something like lye, LYE, and they do like an acid-based extraction um, of the cellulose, and there are some chemicals involved in that. And there are different processes. Some are a closed loop where they reuse everything, or at least 99% of the water is being reused. There's a lyocell process, which is the most sustainable version, and then there's also the traditional, the viscose version, which is a little bit more chemically intensive. So if you're going to argue about the sustainability of bamboo fabric, you need to be aware of this aspect of bamboo. I remain a big fan of bamboo fabric. I'm aware of the problems with it. We do not live in a perfect world where you can find a perfect solution for most situations. Clothing, textiles, fashion industry is one of the most difficult industries to deal with in terms of being green and sustainable. When you look at the labor practices, the farming practices, and everything else, the processing, you're not going to find the perfect fabric out there. So is bamboo better than everything else? I don't know. Some bamboo products are amazing. My bamboo underwear is crazy comfortable. My bamboo socks, I absolutely love them. They take a little bit longer to dry, but yeah, I hang them up. I leave them out overnight for an extra night, and then they're dry, and then they're awesome. This bamboo shirt I've been wearing for like 16 years or something. I love it. It's soft, it's cozy, it's warm, and it's holding together great. And what's not to like about that? If you really want to be green and sustainable with your clothing, just wear it as long as you can. Don't wash it 3 or 4 times a week. Take care of it, and then you'll have to buy less clothing, and that's the most sustainable thing you can do to reduce your consumption. So let's get into it. The problems with greenwashing, trying to make the world a better place, but greenwashing is not exactly helping with that. So when you greenwash, you are compromising your own credibility for yourself and your business. People find out that you're lying or exaggerating, or maybe you made a mistake. Maybe it's an honest mistake. Maybe you just exaggerated a little bit, but somebody's going to grab onto that and say, this guy's full of BS. We can't trust him ever again. And that's not helping anybody. So watch out for that. Also, it leads to a distrust of green products in general. People see that, people learn that something was exaggerated about the sustainable properties of a certain product, and then they think that, these guys are all full of it. It's a bunch of horse bucky, and we're not going to buy any of that junk. I'm sticking with my Roundup Ready carrots, and nobody can stop me. And there's going to be some of that no matter what. But if you're honest and accurate in everything, and people can't catch you misstating or exaggerating or bending the truth, your integrity will prevail. And that is super important. There's already enough distrust of science, distrust of the whole, what they call it, climate change theory. So we need to be as accurate as possible in all the claims that we make, naturally. Oops, I missed one. False sense of accomplishment. When you greenwash and say a product is super green, and then the person buys that product and says, oh, I'm doing a great thing for the earth. I've done my job. Now I can get back to doing whatever it is that I do because I've made my contribution to the planet today. And they might not really have done anything great for the planet. They just used a product that had a really cool packaging with a picture of a tree on it. And so they thought they were doing the right thing. but really it was no different from the other product that was next to it on the shelf that had a picture of a windmill or something. I don't know what, but people need to know. People need to be aware of their impact that they're making, and if they're making a less impact, or positive impact, or a negative impact, it's important for people to be aware of that without dwelling upon it, without getting depressed and catastrophic. But awareness is critical. Finally, this all slows down real environmental progress. Things get greenwashed, and people think, oh, everything's fine. Like, I've got my earth-friendly laundry detergent. Everything's going to be fine. Global warming is going away because I got 100% natural fabric softener or whatever it is. Like I said, it goes back to what I said a second ago. People need to be aware of the impact, whether it's positive or negative, and any improvements they can make to reduce their negative impact and increase their positive impact. People can't do that unless they have the facts at their fingertips. So let's stick with the facts. So I said I was going to talk about the pros and cons of greenwashing. Are there any advantages of greenwashing? Is there a silver lining? Well, not so great of a thing, but when you hear people greenwashing, it does indicate that people are trying to be eco-friendly. They're aware that eco-friendliness, sustainability matters to people, and they wouldn't be greenwashing unless they knew it was something worth talking about. So it's not a great thing to greenwash, but it's a symptom of a positive thing, which is that there's an increase in awareness. So let's not stifle that awareness, but let's just try to do it more accurately and honestly. Like I said, when people make these claims, it does create awareness. When you see something on a label that says, "Oh, this product contains no sodium lauryl sulfate," and somebody might say, "Well, what the heck is sodium lauryl sulfate?" And they'll read the labels, they'll Google it and find out, "Yeah, man, I don't want to wash my hair with sodium lauryl sulfate." And they might change shampoos or conditioners or whatever, and start looking for more eco-friendly cleaning products and body care products. So those claims could, I'm giving some benefit of the doubt here, but they could lead to some positive things. Again, we are not encouraging greenwashing here. Just make full clarification. But it is important to see that shift of awareness, and that's great. And it starts a conversation. Greenwashing, even if somebody makes a claim and somebody catches them and says, "You know what, that's a bunch of BS. This claim that it's 100% this or that is either totally wrong or it's irrelevant, and your product still has problems." It's important for people who do have the knowledge and the facts to speak up and say, "Hey, you know what? This isn't as great as you're saying it is. Why don't you try removing this ingredient or that ingredient, or take a closer look at your supply chain, take a look at your factories in Bangladesh where people are being treated like whatever, and really scrutinize what's going on, find places where improvements can be made, genuine, impactful improvements." And that conversation is important. So it's a couple steps forward, a couple steps back, and inch by inch, it's a cinch, as a friend of mine likes to say. It's not really a cinch, but it is. It's important to make incremental improvements, and greenwashing is a sign that people are talking about it, thinking about it, and we need to latch on to that conversation and participate in it. Those of us who have more awareness, more of a scientific understanding of certain aspects of environmental products and what properties make them better or worse for the planet. And it's a conversation that needs to continue, because there's no finish line here. It's not like you improve a product and suddenly it's like, well, we did it. We've got the perfect product. We don't need we can stop innovating now. It's not like that. Innovation is going to continue forever and ever, and it should. And innovation needs to do more than just make people feel great and comfortable and jolly about themselves. Innovation needs to actually make a positive impact on the world that we live in. That's my 2 cents on the matter. Sorry if I got on my soapbox there for a minute, but I do that sometimes. So, conclusion, greenwashing, yes or no? The answer is no. Don't do it. Definitely don't do it. So avoid it when you can. The best way to do that, be informed, educate yourself, educate your staff, educate your coworkers, make sure everybody in the company is on board using the correct terminology, accurate language, and take pride in what you're doing. If you're making your product more sustainable and eco-friendly, brag about it, but brag about it accurately, honestly, and don't greenwash. I hope this has been educational, informative, and helpful. If I made any inappropriate, inaccurate claims in the course of this video, please call me out. Let me know on my website. Send me a text message. Let me know in the comment section. Otherwise, I hope you had a great time. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, make Bamboo Batu your new favorite, and we'll see you next time.